Hi, I'm JJ. Welcome back. It's Tag Tuesday, and today I wanted to do my own original tag. I'm calling it 20 Questions, the Book Lovers Edition. And essentially, it's just some of these are questions that are my favorite questions to ask when I see people or readers out in the real life, or questions that I wanted to ask you, get your answers, get some good recommendations, and just an opportunity for me to talk about books that I might have, or otherwise not been able to talk about, just because there's not really a spot for it, or I haven't found one yet, so I made one. So anyway, that being said, here are 20 questions. What book do you gift the most? And for me, it's the children's book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I just find this beautifully inspiring, simplistic in its lessons and themes and art, and just overall brings me good memories, and I want to share those memories with others. Number 2, what book do you recommend the most? It's Address Unknown by Catherine Cressman Taylor. It's a very short book. I think it's under 100 pages. It's written as a epistolary. It's basically two old friends during the time of the rise of Hitler, and one is a Jew and one is not, and he moves back. The non-Jew moves back to Germany, and although he originally does not like the movement that's coming around, he, as you see in the course, it's just a few letters that indoctrination take place, and just the chilling way he changes so drastically. And there's some heartbreaking moments in this, and really great, one of my favorite endings in a book, and it packs such a huge punch for such a small book. Number 3, what book has changed you the most? And this is whether it's a point of view, whether it's just something you can't, a point of view that you're not familiar with, something that you just can't get out of your mind. Maybe it's something that profoundly changes you. Maybe it's something that give you a knowledge or understanding that you weren't aware of before. However you want to acknowledge that it changed you. Any kind of book that would fit this, you can choose here, and I chose My Dark Vanessa. Forgot to write the name of the author, but this is essentially a companion piece that would read well with Lolita. In Lolita, you obviously have this guy who tries to make us feel better about the fact that he is a horrible person who is trying to seduce this young girl. In My Dark Vanessa, it twists that, and it's this girl who was seduced by a teacher, and she was 15, and she thinks that they had this unique love story, and that he's the love of her life type of thing. And so it takes place back and forth in time, as you see him continuously basically groom her and work to seducing her, to now where he's been exposed under the Me Too movement by a whole bunch of other students who call him out for what he is, and she has to try to come to terms with that, and she doesn't want to believe these girls because it will change her history, and it will make her a victim in a way that she might not be able to live with or process, because it changes so much of her childhood and her memories and warps them all. So she's not fully ready to come to terms with that, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to read, because this guy is horrible, and even as she's trying to justify it in the past tense and her memories of him, you're seeing just how monstrous he is as she's trying to tell you he's not, and it just warps your way of thinking, because you can see how she would have a warped mind, and you're just you have a deeper understanding for people who survive this. Yeah, it's definitely the hardest thing I've read, and it's definitely stuck with me. So I would say it's changed my life. Number 4, what book hasn't left your mind since you read it? So I know that that's not always the same. You know, that answer is not going to be the same for people, because what changes people might change them less drastically than that book would. So for mine, that's why I have 2 of those questions. And so for mine, for what hasn't left you, it's very similar to that, but it's the nonfiction, Know My Name by Chanel Miller. And this one is about the story of a girl who has to survive a rape trial, of a rape that she doesn't remember, and how she's harassed, and how it's really hard when nobody believes you, when they're all siding with the rapist, and just the strength to endure and to stand up. And it's very well written. It's very hard to read, and she includes her victim impact statement at the end, which is a phenomenal piece of writing. Another one, if I'm not going to do nonfiction, would probably be Woman at Zero Point, and that is my story. The things I pick are dark, but that one is about this woman who is it takes place. It's by an Egyptian author, so it takes place in Egypt, and this woman is on death row. And she tells her story of how she got there. And it's a dark but fascinating, very feminist read. The most niche book, that is your favorite niche book. Mine would be Cute Mutants. It's a series. I absolutely love and basically inhale anything to do with X-Men. And so this is basically love song to X-Men. It's a YA LGBT book, lots of queer characters, love story, found family, and just a group of people who instantly get a superpower. And some of the superpowers are random and weird, but they don't know how. But the main character, and they're non-binary, they are obsessed with X-Men, and they've been very lonely. They don't have a lot of people who understand them. They don't have a lot of friends, and they see this as a way to build a community around them, and they just have this desire to be a superhero. And so it's a bunch of teenage kids trying to be superheroes who fail constantly, who don't know what they're up against, and the stakes keep getting higher as the books go, as they learn more, as their a real villain emerges, and also the understanding of their powers, understanding their place within their community, within their group, within the world. And it's a feel-good read for me. It's fun. It's, I don't know. It's specifically, I believe, written for me because of my love for X-Men, because of the found family, beautiful aspect of that. And I don't know. I will recommend it to anyone, but it's not going to be for everyone. Number 6, a popular book that you feel that lives up to its hype. And I would have to go with some classics here. Count of Monte Cristo. I have not found anyone who's read that and has been disappointed by it. And I also feel like East of Eden would live up to its hype. I really love both of those. Number 7, a popular book that you were disappointed with or disliked? I'll probably upset a few people here because I have a few. And since this is my list and my tag, I'm going to add more than one book probably for each of these prompts. I did not like Red Rising. I really tried to. I will not be reading any. I also really did not like Silo. Well, Dust. The TV series is Silo, but the first one was Dust, and I did not like that one at all. Gates of Fire. I think it was Stephen Pressfield. It was the retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae. So what 300 was inspired by. I really expected to love that because I love 300. I did not like that book at all. And the same with Blood Meridian. I just don't think Cormac McCarthy, unfortunately, he is not for me at all. I hated that book. 8, favorite book outside of your comfort zone. So, as you now know, I like a lot of dark things. So, outside my comfort zone would be probably like Shakespearean comedies. I don't even like a lot of them, but I really, really enjoyed Measure for Measure, which yes, nobody died, so that's probably why I can still consider that a comedy, but it does not feel like any of his other comedies, and I really liked that one. And I feel like nobody else talks about that one. And also, I really did enjoy Cyrano de Bergerac. And also, I read a few Molière plays as well. He's very humorous, and his all rhyme. And it's just kind of funny to read that witty banter and have it all still rhyme and be fun and completely amusing. I also am not usually a horror fan. So outside my comfort zone, I really enjoyed Dread Nation. It is a duology, and the second book is the Deathless Divide, and it's a zombie story. Formerly enslaved people are now zombie hunters because after the Civil War, a bunch of those bodies on the battlefield just rose up and were zombies. And so the whites make this school for the black people to then have to learn to fight them and basically save them from these zombies. So it feels very Sinners to me in the themes that it discusses. It came out before watching Sinners. It reminded me very much of the themes in this book. I was not expecting to love it nearly as much as I did. And I did just finish Demon Hunter, or Buffalo Hunter, and that was also more outside my comfort zone because I'm not really all that into horror, but I did thoroughly enjoy that one as well. So a book that surprised you the most. So this is doesn't have to be like or dislike. It could be, but more so you learned something new. It had a twist that you weren't expecting. Anything that was surprising to you. If for me, if on a winter's night, A Traveler, definitely one. I went into that book not at all knowing how or what it was going to be about, how it was going to go, and I was amused throughout the whole way. It's one that you can't even really give the summary of because you kind of have to go into that one completely unaware, just so that you can fully enjoy what this book is trying to do. And that was by Italo Calvino. And another one would be The Fifth Season. It's the third or the first in a trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and really great world building, fantasy story with 3 points of view, 3 women who are all fascinating in their own right. But the twist in that remains one of my favorite twists in all of literature. The next one I am actually going to call audible on and do a completely different question than what I was originally going to do. And so this one would be, the question that I'm going to ask for number 10 is, what is your favorite kind of story to read about? Not genre, but like what are your favorite kinds of characters? What's your favorite trope or theme? What draws you to a story so that you can read any genre and still know that you're going to enjoy the story because it has one of those, your favorite archetype of character, your favorite theme, your favorite plot, or even just trope and stuff like that. So for me, I absolutely love redemption arcs. Those are some of my favorite characters end up having the best redemption arcs, just because it's so rewarding to have somebody either hated at the beginning or they were a clear villain doing horrible things, and you get to see as they slowly redeem themselves in your eyes or in the eyes of the character, either or. And just it feels so much more rewarding than, especially if you're reading a fantasy and they're just good. They're all good, and there's really no conflicts except the battle of good and evil is they're always going to be about somebody else, and there's no like really internal struggle. That being said, the reverse of that, I really love heroes falling stories, because it once again, it's not just this black and white story. You just have this rich character development, and you get to see someone that you love, and see all the different ways that they could fall, and eventually do fall. If they rise and fall and then they get to a redemption arc, as long as it's believable. As you can see, anything, I'll read any genre, as long as it gives me really great characters and really great, rich, dense character development. So, number 11, what book do you wish you could have written? So, if I was a teenager, I would have loved to have written The Outsiders. That is a brilliant piece of work written by someone so young. And as for just somebody who can write a really good story, that I feel is a perfect story, Edith Wharton has a collection of 4 novellas called Old New York. 2 of them are some of my favorite writing in literature. The Old Maid especially, but I also really did enjoy New Year's Day. If I could have written either of those, I would have probably died happy and never tried to write again, because I would have never been able to make that kind of perfection again. But then Edith is not me, and she went on to write a whole bunch of amazing things that are worth reading. So that is probably why I haven't written them. Number 12, favorite or most rewarding experience with a book. And I did a whole video just of this. My favorite experience was reading Return of the Soldier. I wish I would have remembered the name. Rebecca West is the author. And it's a very short novella. I think it's not even 100 pages. But my copy was used, and it was highlighted, and it was loved by so many different people. There was like just a highlighter, the yellow highlighter, highlighting a couple things. There was like blue ink, red ink, black ink, all different types of highlighting. It felt like I was immersively reading it in a Bible study with the people, like we were all in person discussing it as we read it together. I felt like it was such a rich experience, because I got so much more out of the book that way, because I was seeing what they were getting from the characters, what they were getting from, they were connecting themes that I might not have gotten. They were making references that I didn't catch. They were making me see it in a fuller detail than what I would have read if I would have just done it on my own and picked up a brand new copy and not been immersed. And it felt like I was having conversations with these past readers, disagreeing with them or agreeing with them, or maybe taking their thoughts and ideas and extend in them and seeing something else that they missed, that because they pointed out one thing, I was able to delve deeper into it. And it just made the whole experience so rewarding and enjoyable. And I've actually, since then, when I get used books, I hope, like, especially if I'm ordering them, I hope that I'm getting ones that are all marked up and previously loved, and can offer me a similar experience. I have not found one to participate with that in. I do have a couple on my TBR that look marked up that I'm really hoping will give me such an enjoyable experience, but we'll see. Number 13, how do you determine what to read next? For me, I am a mood reader, so until I started BookTube, I never really had a plan for what I was going to read next. It was just going to be, what I felt in the mood for. And now I'm trying to read for, complete different challenges, participate in different stuff going on. Like I got to do Shake-Timber, Potember, and Jane Austen July, just different stuff like that, that are giving me an excuse to read books that were already on my list, but kind of influencing when I read them. Otherwise, I also, especially for nonfiction, it's mostly, unless I'm trying to conform to something, a challenge or something on BookTube, especially with November being nonfiction November, it's essentially, as I understand it, any nonfiction. I usually, when I choose nonfiction, is usually my current fixation. So I kind of do a deep dive in different things. For me right now, I read a couple of books that mentioned some Irish history and stuff, so now I'm delving more into Irish history. I did a lot of Roman history recently that I really enjoyed, and just I kind of do an overall arc. When I first started classics, I did basically Napoleon 360. So I did War and Peace for the Russian aspect. I did A Tale of Two Cities for the English aspect, and then I did Les Mis for the French Revolution and stuff. And also Count of Monte Cristo kind of fits in that period as well, because he kept being in exile and everything. But I always like to do what I'm in the mood for, what my fixation is, and then just try to like swarm it and get an overall depth into the topic that I'm reading about. Number 14, a book you wished that you had read sooner or not put off. So I have been reading a lot of childhood books that I wish I had read in childhood that I didn't. I'll probably put together a video for that. Or any of the classics. I only started reading the classics a couple of years ago, and now I'm trying to get through as many as possible. I'm really enjoying most of them. I understand why they're classics. So one specifically, I wish I would have read younger, was Anne of Green Gables and Little Women. I guess two specifically. I wrote down Little Women, but then as I was thinking about it, it's also Anne of Green Gables, because it's very, both of them have really great stories that you would have been interested in as a child, and they still have like, in the time when they had morals for stories. The moral of this story is, or the moral of this theme or this instance is, and so you're always kind of actively learning something. And I think I would have really enjoyed that as a kid, especially books written by women and about very strong female protagonists. I would have loved as a kid. I also really would have loved The Black Stallion. I have read two of those books now, and I enjoy them now, but I really would have loved them as a kid. The action and adventure of it all, plus animals, horses, and I love horses. So 15, a book that you love, but you're worried if it will hold up if you reread it again. At the time, years ago, I read 13 Reasons Why. I know they've made a TV show. I know there's like a lot of controversy about how they feel like it glorifies suicide and stuff. For me, when I read it years ago, it really impacted me understanding that you don't always know what's going on in somebody else's life. And I just kind of had that in the back of my mind of never wanting to be someone's reason why. I wanted to be a good reminder of their day. Like if they had a memory and stuff, that I was never like the one who, like, the straw that broke the camel's back or anything. I didn't want to be that. So I feel like I read it at the perfect time when I was trying to decide what kind of person I wanted to be, and I wanted to be a kind one. If I read it now, I probably would read it with that more cynical lens, and have my own discussion about the controversies, understanding some of the problematic elements of that book. But at the time, I did enjoy it. Number 16. What's your favorite banned book? Mine, so many of the classics have been banned for numerous reasons, and a lot of the other books that I read, since I try to read culturally, I try to read diversely, there's a lot of books that I've read that would be on the banned book list. But one of my favorite all-time books, so that's why I'm going to put it here, is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Number 17. Book that you think should be required reading. So I wrote this as in, like, I live in the United States, and there's a lot of book banning talk, a lot of let's not talk about racial theory or anything LGBT related in schools, or let's rewrite history, and slavery wasn't so bad, and the indigenous people chose to leave their homes. All that revisionist history that's going on. So this is why I wrote that question is, what do you want to be required so that all those narratives can't be erased or rewritten, was my idea behind this question. And so I would choose either for nonfiction, How the Word is Passed. It is talking about our, as a nation's, reckoning with the history of slavery. I feel like that's an important read. But also for nonfiction, Angeline Bowley has a trilogy currently out about Indigenous people, and each one is talking about something that's very relevant within their society and their culture now, whether it's things that they had to fight for, rights being taken away. For one of them, it's what to do with their remains, when they dig up the remains of their people, and now they're all in colleges and stuff and not being returned to the tribes, or the Indian Child Welfare Act, where you can take the children from their homes for various reasons, and declare that you're doing it for the child's protection when you're not. And so I feel like any of her books would be really relevant, and I would start with her first book, which is Firekeeper's Daughter. Fabulous book. So a book that you love that you don't get a chance to talk about. And this is where I'm going to say, go ahead and tell me all the books that you don't get to talk about otherwise. You don't have to limit it to just one book. So for me, I absolutely loved Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't get to talk about that much. The book was good. Read it multiple times right in a row. And it's a good movie. it still has a line that sticks with me, when wondering why you put up with somebody who's either abusive or doesn't treat you right in a relationship. And the line is that you accept the love that you think you deserve, or it, you expect the love that you don't deserve. And that just always has stuck with me, in the fact that when you're wondering why you're just putting up with something, or you're sitting here wondering why, just know that in the back of my mind, that's my thought, is that you don't deserve that. You deserve so much better, and I wish that you saw it too. Another one I don't get to talk about, has a lot of trigger warnings, is The Prince of Tides. And that one is, it's really interesting, but sometimes it's some of the trauma almost feels like it's trying to outdo itself on trauma. It's some of it feels unnecessary and longer. The book is much longer than it probably needs to be, but the book itself is it's very well done. It's basically a guy, his sister is survived another attempted suicide, and the therapist reaches out to him, and for help with the daughter, and the daughter is not responsive to any of her trying to help, and so she's trying to understand the childhood that they had, and so the guy has to retell his childhood, and it's this really close, amazing relationship between two brothers and a sister during a time when their parents are abusive or neglectful, and then they're also dealing with a whole lot of other things going on in their lives that the guy is forced to reckon with and remember. But then we also understand, more of the sister's point of view. So I liked it a lot. It's just at some points, I know that you should check the trigger warning, because there were some really hard things to read in there. Another couple of books, they're LGBT books, a sapphic romance. One's a Western, duology, Bloomtown, and it kind of rewrites the Western and given, women autonomy. It rewrites religious trauma. It also features people of color and indigenous people within the narrative that are usually tend to be overlooked by a lot of the traditional Westerns. Very feminist, great found family, entertaining story, mystery type of thing. It was a lot better than I expected, and I never really get a chance to talk about it. This woman is going out west to reunite with her, I can't remember if it's her husband or her fiance, as he's starting to try to build a church out there. He was actually stealing the funds and gambling them away, and now kind of needed her out there because their goal for the new church is falling apart. And in the meantime, on her trip out there, she gets captured and then ransomed off, and ends up falling for her kidnapper, and a whole lot of other stuff happens. But it was very entertaining, uniquely told in a way that you just feel immersed in the story, but also like it feels like an old Western, but like it does have that more modern feel to it. And like I said, I really loved the found family in that. And another one was The Delicate Things We Make, and that's just a sapphic romance, straight up romance, but it deals really well with the Me Too movement, and the trauma of hiding that kind of secret and that kind of trauma, how it can affect relationship, and not just with yourself, not just romantically, but in how you view the world, when you had to hide, so so far, for so long, um, before you could finally tell your story and admit what happened to you. It was just a random book that I found, and it has kind of stuck with me since I read it. I really enjoyed it. 19. The best book that you've read so far this year. For me, absolutely hand down, the Beartown trilogy. Every book was a 5-star book, and so that's saying a lot. And then last one, and this is actually from Doug, one of my friends online. He had written this question to me: what's your favorite soliloquy or short speech from literature? And Doug is at Doug Gervin 2413. And so in literature, I chose The Crucible. There's a scene in there when John Proctor gets accused of being a witch. And, essentially in this story, if you say that you're a witch, then it doesn't actually save you. But at least you saved your soul. If you don't say that you're a witch, they torture you until you die, but you didn't ever say that you were a witch, so you died anyway. So you're either gonna like die with your soul and your goodness and everything, your morality intact, or you're gonna be killed as a witch, who confessed that they were a witch. There's really no way out, and you just basically, the story is about a group of girls who in mass hysteria start declaring witches, and it kind of gives the townsfolk reason to start outing their neighbors that they're trying to get land from, and like all this reason, all these reasons to not have to deal with the legality of it, because you just classified them as a witch, and now they have to prove it. You don't have to prove anything, they do. And so it's all started by this Abigail Williams, and she had an affair with John Proctor. And then when he broke it off to stay with his wife, she first tried to say the wife was a witch. And then when the wife and the husband accused her of lying and admitted to the adultery and everything, then they accused John Proctor of being a witch. And he does not want to admit that he is one. He would rather die, because he has that morality to him that he's not going to admit to a lie just to save his life, when there were a lot of good people who took that to their graves and died rather than admitting that they were a witch when they weren't. So he wasn't going to be one of them who did that. And they say, just do it, just do it. And so his speech is, when they say, why can't you just admit it? It doesn't have to be true, just say it. And he says, because it's my name, because I cannot have another in my life, because I lie and I sign myself to sins, because I am not with the dust. I am not worth the dust of the feet of them that hang. How may I live without my name? I have given you my soul. Leave me my name. And it's just such a dramatic moment within such a great story. And another way that it's quoted is one of my all-time favorite movies is Molly's Game, which is also based on her memoir, Molly Bloom. And she was a woman who started getting into poker. She understood poker, and so she had she was an assistant to somebody who was doing an underground poker ring. They kind of essentially screwed her over, so she made her own poker ring, made millions off of it. They were mad that she was making money, so they said that she was using that as a front to work with the mafia and stuff, which, you know, we won't prosecute you for this underground gambling ring that you have if you give us the names of the people who play in these gambling establishments that you created. And she goes to prison because she refuses to give up the names. And some of the names that had been leaked, not by her, were some famous celebrities, American celebrities, American actors and stuff. And she did her time, never told anyone. And so she wrote her memoir, and then they made it into a fantastic movie with Jessica Chastain. And he tells her at one point, why won't you just give up their names? Like, you didn't actually do anything worth going to prison for. Why are you taking the fall for all of them? And she quotes this, and it's a brilliant moment in that movie as well. And it just, that has just always stuck with me. And kind of interestingly enough, Molly Bloom is actually her real name. The character's, the author's name, they called her the Poker Princess. It's also the name of a character in James Joyce's Ulysses. And she has, so Molly Bloom is the wife of the main character, and she's absent throughout the whole book until the end. And she's sitting here, and she also gives a brilliant soliloquy for the rest of that book. It's actually my favorite part of that book, because that book was very hard to follow at times, really rough to get through. But her just talking about, the plight of woman, the double standard about, fidelity and like all this stuff, and just her beautiful soliloquy at the end is also another really great one. And then to top it off, another one, it's not actually considered literature, but I had mentioned it earlier, the victim statement from Chanel Miller, that she included in her memoir, Know My Name. Some of the, it's not technically literature, but it's some of the most brilliant, heartfelt, deeply personal, and yet profound writing that you'll ever read. And that book is fantastic, but to read that victim statement alone, you can find it online. It went viral when it came out. So absolutely fascinating understanding of human nature and survival, and what we have to do as a society to get, not let what happened to her happen again. Very, very brilliant. So anyway, thank you for sticking with me. I really hope that some of you at least want to participate in this. I would like to tag my friends on BookTube, Angelina over at Books Do Things to Me, Saracen's Salute, and Pat at Book Chat with Pat. I might think of a few more, but off the top of my head, I would really like to hear their answers for this. I also would like to hear the answers from Active Mind. I will do his before, and possibly if anyone else wants to do this, please feel free to do it. I would also like to tag Carolyn Marie Reads. I'm not sure if she does many tags, but if she would do this one, that would be great. And if there's anyone else I can think of, I will tag below. But I feel like these are thoughtful questions instead of just quick answers. So I would really like to hear people's thoughts on these questions. If they have any better questions that they want to include, or you can also go as shallow or as in-depth as you want. You could just do the one-word answers, but I would really like to hear why you choose each thing. Anyway, that was my first original tag. It was just stuff that I wanted to talk about, wanted to share, and what I want to learn from all of you. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and happy reading, enjoy, and have a great day.